Yeah, I know it's a women's weekend. I'm going to go up there.
Okay. We're going to start in just a couple minutes.
Do you want me to gather? Do you?
No, I'll take care of it. That's my job. Thank you.
Yes, I figured.
Friends, we're going to begin in just a moment. If I could ask those that have been asked to be pallbearers to come join me at the rear of the coach booth.
Okay. Perfect.
Push on the handle, please. We're gonna come on the other side here.
You coming?
Come right here. And then go back towards the podium. Let's go right here. Thank you.
Okay. Head in.
Yes, got it.
There's a Star of David on there, but we also got it.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We're gonna call everyone over in just a moment. Friends, if I could ask you please to come gather beneath the tent
On the wood itself.
as close to us and each other as you're comfortable with.
I would normally stay on the Not yet, David. I'll tell you. So you're running on that?
If I could get some help passing these around, could you guys help?
One second, David. Just wait till they finish passing these out.
Did anyone need a kippah, a yarmulke? Here, I'll take the extras, guys.
Rabbi?
No, we'll watch.
Okay, David.
Okay, so I'm far enough from the mic.
Yeah, a little closer and louder would be good.
49 years ago, Yaffa left Israel to become my wife. Today, Yaffa's soul returns to Israel. 52 years ago, in a Sharuk taxi at Castile Junction, the jewel of Mevaser Sion entered the taxi, sat beside me, and captured my heart. Today, Yaffa returns to Mevaser Sion to be in the memory and the hearts of all who love her there. Traditionally, I would place 3 shovels of earth over Yaffa today. I will be placing 6. 3 for our beloved brother, Shimon. Yaffa loved the songs of Vera Lynn and Yan pierce. So Yaffa, this is for you. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the bluebirds of happiness sing to us again. Yaffa, Shel Shana, Ani Ohev Uvtark Me'od. Rabbi, did I pronounce that correctly?
Close enough.
So, Yaffa, it's a very golden person.
You're staying with your son. And your daughter. Not yet. In a minute, but not yet.
Sinai, Hecharim, Me'ayin Yahweh Ezri, Sinai, Hecharim, Me'ayin Yahweh Ezri, Ezri, Me'im Adonai, Osei, Shemayim Ba'aretz, Ezri, Me'im Adonai, Osei, Shemayim Ba'aretz. I lift my eyes up to the mountains, and what is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, and God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Amen. When Yaron was in hospital, his mother came to be with him, to sit by his bedside. And she placed a small book beneath his pillow, a book of Tehillim, a book of Psalms. Because our tradition teaches us that we should read the Psalms, the Tehillim, at times of distress, at times of discomfort, to find comfort and some sense of certainty and grounding in these ancient words from our tradition. Judaism holds that the Psalms are attributed to Melech David, to King David, David HaMelech, and that they were his diary entries, his reflections, his journal, about how he experienced all of the vicissitudes of life. And so we turn to them now, to some of those words, to find comfort and consolation in our present circumstance. And recognizing that though what we are feeling and the sadness that we have is unique and certainly profound, it's not unique throughout history. It's not even unique throughout the history of this family and those in your circle of friends. That death is as much a part of life as birth. And that people, all humanity, has been confronting it and dealing with the sorrow and the loss and coming through to the other side for generations and generations. In fact, none of us would be here if our parents, having been confronted with loss and sorrow, didn't also have tikvah, have hope, and believe in the promise and the possibility that life would go on and that we would continue that precious legacy. And so it's in that context that we gather. Sad for sure and shocked for sure that we should have had more time, that in spite of Yaffa's illnesses, many over the last few years, she always seemed to rally. She always seemed to fight because she was a fighter and beat them because she could, and she was so strong. And yet here we are. And we have just her memory, her precious legacy that is now a part of us. And that's the part that lives on. And so our responsibility, our shlichut, our sacred purpose, is to honor her memory so that it can live on inside of us, and the good works that she did continue as the work of our own hands. And so we turn to the Psalms. First, to the familiar words of King David, Psalm 23. It's in your handout. Adonai Roi. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Read together with me if you would. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He lead me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. In another psalm, in Psalm 15, David asks a question. It's not in your handout, it's in mine. David asks a question: who at the end of their life merits the reward of living on in heaven? What are the qualities of a person that makes them a mensch, that means that they lived a life of meaning and purpose? And in wondering about that question, he offers the following answer. Adonai mi yagur b'ochalecha, mi yishkan b'char kodshecha. Adonai, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain? Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless, but honor those who revere God, who give their word and come what may, do not retract it, who do not exploit others, who do not take bribes. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. Could there be a more fitting description of Yaffa than those words from the Psalms? He describes her to a T, to the very essence of her being, her honesty, her integrity, her patience, her friendship, her abiding love. In traditional Jewish homes, on Shabbos, after the candles and the challah and the kiddush are all blessed, it's customary for the husband to go to his wife and to offer words from Proverbs, a blessing called Eshet Chayil. David, I don't know if you ever said these words to Yaffa, but I do know from what you have shared and your children have shared, that you and your children lived these words in every moment and every instance that you were with her. And so we share them now. Eshet Chayil mi yimsa, a woman of valor who can find. She is more precious than fine pearls. Her husband trusts in her, and so he lacks nothing. She does him good, never harm, all the days of her life. She perceives that her labor is rewarding. Her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need, extends her hands to the poor. She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom. The law of kindness is on her lips. Her children rise up and bless her, and her husband sings her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but Yaffa, you Eshet Chayil, you woman of valor, you excel them all. Amen. And so we want to invite her children to come and sing her praises, to share some thoughts and some words with you now.
right into the microphone. It's a little sensitive, but not sensitive enough.
I was hoping I wouldn't go first, but I am the firstborn 5 minutes in front of my brother, so I guess
I'll read 5 minutes after.
I guess I will have to talk first. I miss Ima, my mom, in a way that I cannot express in words. I miss her so much because of how amazing she was. Rabbi Dan has captured the essence of many of these. For now, I just want to say that Ima taught me the most important qualities to being good. Patience, kindness, caring, dedication, accepting people for who they are, and to love people unconditionally, and to listen. She listens to her children, Iran and Kini, and now I listen to my children. She was the toughest person I know. Iran's a close second. And her attitude was always positive and driven by love at the hardest times. I can't even count the number of times we've had to visit her at various times because of health illnesses, and she always said, there are other people in worse situations, so what can I do? I have a beautiful family. What else do I need? Ima, you are always and will be with your beautiful family. Ima, ani ochad b'tach.
My mom, my Ima, was such a beautiful soul. She shared so much wisdom and love amongst those around her. She left Israel to build a family in Canada, and despite various health issues, she was so strong in so many ways, seeing the beauty in life even in hard times. Always positive, with little tidbits of humor. She inspired me. I'm certainly blessed with who I am in so many ways because of her. She's the most amazing woman I ever met. Ima Shali, you'll be with me forever. And you have it otach gadol gadol. המשפחה בארץ בישראל, אני יודע שאלוקים מהלב ונשמה שלה תמיד בישראל. I know that parts of her heart and soul never left Israel, and yet she was here for us in all her being. Ima, though you left us physically, you are still here in so many ways. My soul is broken, but beautiful memories will heal it over time. Goodbye and be well. Ima, I will miss you so much forever and ever. I know you will always be here for me, and that one day I will see you again. I love you so much. Ima, you gave me so much. You do. I do wish you're around more, and more for you. I will never understand why Hashem took you away from me. But I promise I will become all that you believed.
The family has asked me to also note and share with you that David and Noam and Yaron and Kinneret have provided handwritten letters. The grandchildren also provided notes and art and special items for their savta. And these items have been placed in the casket with Yaffa, so that she is accompanied with them always. Judaism is a way of life that emphasizes the importance of memory. We are commanded, zachor, remember, al tishkach, don't forget. Almost all of our rituals serve as memorials, as reminders. We wear a talit with its tzitzit to remind us of our obligation to the mitzvot, of the Torah, to the commandments. We eat matzah on Pesach, on Passover, to remind us of the exodus that each of us made in great haste, our generations ago did, and of the lechem oni, the bread of affliction that our ancestors ate in Egypt. A bride and the groom standing beneath the chuppah, the Jewish marriage canopy, break a glass to remind us of the destruction of the first and the second temple, a symbolic reminder of the sorrows of the Jewish people that we've experienced throughout centuries. And just a few weeks ago on Rosh Hashanah, we prayed, Zochreinu lechayim, remember us, O God, and grant us life. A few days later, 10 days later, after Rosh Hashanah, we had, and then just last week, the Yizkor service. Yizkor is the memorial service, and where we remember those who shaped our lives and who shared our years. In the prayers that make up the Kaddish, which is part of that service, the Kaddish portion, the memorial portion of that service, there's a line that I think often goes missed. But I couldn't miss it when you were talking. We refer to a mother in that prayer, one who has passed away, as Imi Morati, my mother, my teacher. And in this simple phrase, we have a recognition of the significant role entrusted to the mother, her role as a teacher of her children, her grandchildren, and all of those who are children of her by choice. However, despite Judaism's great emphasis on memory, it's impossible to remember everything. And so what should we remember about Yaffa? Should we remember the multiple health challenges Yaffa faced? Or the joy of how she lived every day of her life? Do we focus our thoughts on what we have lost with her passing? Or say prayers of gratitude and thanksgiving for what we were given in having her as part of our life, as part of your life, as part of this family? Her unconditional love, her acceptance of you as you are, and her sage advice as she guided you towards the right path, never telling, but always teaching. We must be selective in our memories, looking back over the years and remembering the good things, keeping in mind the shared experiences. We should not give undue emphasis to times of adversity, to times of illness, or times of suffering, but to the qualities that have added a dimension to our lives. That smile that caught David's eye one night in a taxi cab in a shirut in Israel about 52 years ago, when he asked her 3 times what her name was, and she didn't answer. Then they both got off at the same stop, and they both walked in the same direction. And then he asked if he could kiss her. David, you had game. You had moves. And he put her arm around her, and he didn't take it off for 49 years or more. You celebrated your wedding anniversary just a few weeks ago, 49 years of marriage. A real love story. A love story of the kind that they write poems and songs and movies about. Love at first sight. In a taxi cab in Israel. We must remember and thank God for her huge and loving family in Israel. Many of you, I know it's late there and you're watching online. A family that saw David and Yaffa and shared and welcomed him with open hearts and open minds. Butterfield is not normally a Jewish name. But to Yaffa's mother, Hannah, David was a Jewish name, and that was certainly close enough and good enough for her to welcome him into this large and amazing family. And you have all embraced them all so much. We can remember her strong moral ethic, how she taught her children empathy, how her focus as a parent was helping her children to understand the why in what they did and what they did with others and what others did, so that with that insight they could be good people to themselves and to others in the world. She gave David, her children and grandchildren, an infusion of energy in life. It radiated from her. You told me in so many different ways how she was so often the key to your success. How you could ask Yaffa, you could ask your Ima a question about anything, and she would listen. She would really listen, always taking the time to answer, or if she didn't have the answer, she would help you find it together. And let us remember her love of her family, and her children and her grandchildren and their spouses, her children and their spouses and her grandchildren, and the many, many friends who have come here to stand with all of you today, and who have sent messages of condolence, and who will sit Shiva in Israel this coming week, praying for her neshama, for her soul, as it ascends to heaven, tachat kanfecha shechina, under the wings of God's presence. She loved all of you so much. She said many times how what she wanted most of all was more time with you. More time to see her grandchildren grow up, to play Scrabble with you, cook for you. Yaffa was an awesome cook, with many unique recipes and flavors, drawing from her Sephardic background and a little cookbook that she had once. Being with you, being together as a family, that was the most important thing to her. She put her whole life into this family. Many of you have books and cards inscribed by Yaffa. How many of you have a card that she sent you for a birthday or something, or a book that she gave you and she wrote a message, because she always did that. She wrote a message inside the cover. She always wrote the most meaningful and thoughtful inscriptions and messages. She could really express her feelings. Those are part of her teachings, her legacy, the way she saw the world, her relationship with you, and how she could capture it and articulate it just perfectly, just so lovingly. And so this afternoon, as we look back over Yaffa's life, we must allow the sadness and the sickness to fade from our memories, and do our utmost to remember the years spent together, the devotion to family, to friends, and to community, to remember her, as we say, l'chaim, to remember her for life and not illness or pain. And I want to return to that phrase that we so often skip over in our Siddur, in our Yizkor service, that described a mother during that service as Imi Morati, my mother, my teacher. For above all, Yaffa was the person in her family to whom others looked to for guidance on how to deal with all that life brought. For the most significant part of a child's education occurs not in the classroom, but in the home. The mother conveys to her children her fears and her hopes, her defeats and her aspirations, through the way that she handles the experiences of life. These hopes and values are what shape the outlook of her children, her grandchildren, and generations beyond. Yaffa, you taught us all so much about how to live, of how to care for everyone around you. And she continues to teach us this afternoon in her passing. Her memory lives on inside of everyone who knew her. It lives on, as we say, for a blessing, for a lesson on how to be a spouse, how to make a marriage work, how to build a home and a family, to raise children, to love grandchildren, to nurture friendships, and how to get the very most out of life and its blessings. Those lessons don't end here at this cemetery. We still have so much to learn from her life and how she lived it. She will always be our Imi Morati, our mother, our teacher. She lives on in each one of us as we remember her for blessing. Amen. Friends, we have one more prayer that we are going to do here, and then we're going to proceed to graveside for the burial and the placing of earth and to say Kaddish. The prayer that we recite here is called El Malei Rachamim, God who is full of compassion. It speaks about that phrase I mentioned earlier, that she should be escorted, her soul should be Tachat Kanfei Shekhinah, under the wings of God's presence. Our tradition teaches that when a person dies, their neshama, their soul, it goes up to heaven to help God run the world. You can think for just a moment what Yaffa would be telling God about how to run the world. She might have a list. As I shared with the family, I don't know if that's true. None of us do. It's a comforting thought. But what I know, and I think you know, is that her memory is now a part of us. That neshama, that soul, that part of her that is unique and special, that didn't exist in anyone else in the world, that David found in the shirut, in the taxi, and never let go, that's inside of all of you. And it remains in this world, not in heaven, but right here on earth. If we take the way that she lived her life and the lessons that she taught us and we make them part of our own, and we teach them to our friends and our children as well, that's eternity. That's immortality.
El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Amitzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfecha Shekhinah, Im Keroshim Utechorim, Kezochar Rakim Asirim, Et Nishmat Yaffa bat Pinchas v'Chana, Shechalal Olama, Ba'al Harachamim, Yastirecha, B'Seta Kanafav Olamim, Vayitzrur, B'itzrur Chachayim et Nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata, V'tanuach, B'Shalom, Al Mishkava, V'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Yaffa, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up with the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And we say together, Amen. I'm going to ask the pallbearers to please come and stand on the side of the casket to place your hand on the handles. Friends, if you'll follow behind us, please. We're going to go that way. Mechalkel chayim bechesed mechayim etim berachamim rabim. Somech noflim v'rofeh holim umatir asurim. Umken atoli shenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al givorot umido melach. Melech memitu mechayim matzmiach Yeshua. Pause for a moment. And then continue. Mechalkel chayim bechesed mechayim etim berachamim rabim. A little to the left. Somech noflim v'rofeh holim umatir asurim. Umken atoli shenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al givorot umido melach. Melech memitu mechnei matzmiach Yeshua. Pause for a moment. Continue. Mechalkel chayim bechesed mechayim etim berachamim rabim. Somech noflim v'rofeh holim umatir asurim. Umken atoli shenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al givorot umido melach. Melech memitu mechayim matzmiach Yeshua. Pause. Continue. Mechalkel chayim bechesed mechayim etim berachamim rabim. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים. כן התולי שני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, melech memito mechayeu matzmiach Yeshua. Pause. We're going to follow the road all the way around, okay? Continue. Mechalkel chayim bechesed mechayei metim berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rofei holim umatir asurim, umkein atoli shanei afar, micha mocha ba'al givorot umido melach, melech memito mechayeu matzmiach Yeshua. Pause. Continue. Mechalkel chayim bechesed mechayei metim berachamim rabim, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, כן התולי שני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך באמת ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. Pause. Continue. מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, כן התולי שני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך באמת ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. Pause. And we'll continue all the way now to Ron. So keep going straight. The head's here, Ron. So, gentlemen, stop for a second. Ron, the head's on this side? Okay. Yeah.
Stop here and come off, and then
Where do you want them to go, Ron?
lift and then walk straight this way.
Careful of the cart.
Face the other way because you're going to turn your head back.
Friends, why don't you come a little closer if you can. We just try not to stand on a grave. There's nobody buried over here, but obviously not here. We're going to do a couple of things here now that are mitzvot, that are commandments and necessary. One is I'm going to read a poem. And then we're going to invite the family to come forward to place earth. As I've instructed them and as I'll instruct you, it's Jewish tradition to place at a minimum 3 shovels of earth. 3 is a number that shows intention. And then when you take the shovel from the mound, we often make our very first shoveling of earth, not all of them, but our very first one, with the shovel upside down, to show that this isn't normal shoveling, but this is a holy act. And then when you're done with your placing of earth, please return the shovel to the mound so that each person can take the shovel and fulfill the mitzvah on their own. After the family has placed earth, we're going to recite Kaddish. And then I'm going to ask you to make 2 lines along this road, facing each other, so that the family can walk out amongst you and head back to their cars and back to the home. There's a reception at Noam and Julie's. The address is on the handout following our service here. So please don't greet the family here at the cemetery. There'll be opportunity back at the home. There is a Shiva tomorrow night at 7:45 at Temple Sholom. The address is on the handout as well. When I die, if you need to weep, cry for someone walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around others and give them what you need from me. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands and souls touch souls. You can love me most by sharing your joys, multiplying your good deeds. You can love me most by letting me live in your eyes and not in your mind. And when you say Kaddish for me, remember what our Torah teaches. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that is left of me is love, give me away. And ask the family to come forward to place earth now. If you could all make those 2 lines across the road facing each other. We're going to recite the Kaddish prayer. Canary, if you want to come over? It's okay. Should be dry. It's okay. Just wait. Join me. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba. Yomad yivrach v'rutev yamlich malchute. V'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayeh l'chol beit Yisrael. V'agala uv'izman karim. V'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lamei omayim. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yit adar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei l'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birkata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damiron be'alma, v'yimorhu. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yokol Yisrael, v'yimorhu. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, v'ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'yokol Yisrael, v'yokol yoshvei tevel, v'yimorhu. Amen.
Amen.
Friends, as the family walks out, if you could join me in the traditional words of comfort, you repeat after me. Hamakom Yenachem, Etchem, B'toch, Sha'ar, Avalei, Zion, Yerushalayim. May God console you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Amen. So now it's incumbent upon us to finish what they started, to make sure that Yaffa has a proper burial. So I'm going to ask you, please, there's shovels on both sides of the mound to come and to place earth. Again, often the first shovel is a shovel upside down. You can do more than 3. That's up to you. But we need to fully cover the count. If you would, please. Thank you. One other thing I should mention. The program that you have, it has God's name on it. It's called Shemot. So if you want to keep it, you're welcome to. But if you're not going to keep it, we don't throw them away. Please place it inside the grave before you place your earth, or as you're placing your earth, and we'll surround her with the words of God. Please. Friends, we need to fully cover the grave, so if you're able to do some additional shoveling, you could please help us now. Thank you all. That's sufficient. We'll finish the rest of the machine. Thank you. זה סוף הטקס. זכר צדיק לברכה.